Hello and welcome to our first ever guest episode of Shit Dates
and Sticky Mistakes.
Obviously, we're here, Kim and Lisa, bringing all the dating disasters to you guys and basically just sharing what a shit show of love life we have.
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
Today is very, very special. We have a guest, our first ever guest. We're so excited. I'm just going to let you introduce yourself. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Sarah. I'm 42. I'm single. I've been dating for 3 years. Business owner, teetotal party girl, and owner of the dating circle. And that has definitely given me some insight into dating life outside of my own. Solo parent or co-parent to triplets plus one, and then I've got an older boy as well. So I've got 5 children in total, and that's definitely brought about some interesting conversations in the dating world. What else? I've been engaged 3 times. I've had lots and lots of different relationships, and so lots to share and talk about.
Amazing. Couple of questions off the back of that. One, triplets, are you mad?
And my triplet, the last one came after the triplets. Everyone was like, what, do you not own a telly? And I was like,
Exactly.
She wasn't planned. No nutter plans another baby after triplets.
That's amazing. And also, engaged 3 times.
Yes.
Did you keep the rings?
I did keep 2 of the rings.
Amazing.
One of them, he proposed without a ring and the promise to get one, and I left before that happened.
I mean, that's kind of a red flag, isn't it, Lise?
Yeah, just a bit.
That'd go in my bio as a red flag that we spoke in the previous episode about.
Right, so just quickly explain to Sarah about the bio situation. This is genius.
So I've been on Puff, Tinder, all things like that, and I found it was literally like having a full-time job, because you were speaking with multiple people, and then I was sitting there and I was like, I can't remember what this guy said. I can't remember what he does. I don't remember this. I don't remember that. So when I saved their number on my phone, I'd done like a little bit of a bio about them. So their name, how old they are, where they're from, anything like that stood out that they'd maybe said to me. If they'd sent any dick pics as well, I've put that, and I kept a tally of how many. And then I also used the little red flag emoji. So if there was ever anything that they'd done and I was like, red flag, I'd put an emoji. And that was my little guide. If ever I was a bit drunk and I was going to drunk text, I'd look and I'd say, actually, you've got a lot of red flags. I'm not going to text you. We'll have a look at the next one. You've got 3. That's fine. I'll pop you a text. That was always my little guide. So that would be a red flag emoji on the bios.
It's such a great idea, because honestly, if I put the word Hinge or Tinder into my phone, I just get this like whole list of people in it.
Yeah.
And I could not tell you who those people are. So that's a great idea. Great tip.
It was so good. And it helped me. Well, it didn't, because I'm still single, but for the time I needed it, it was very useful.
Well, actually, no, it probably did help you, because you've stayed away from all of those red flags.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Got to take the positives, haven't you?
Yeah, I like it. I feel like that could be a thing. I think that would help a lot of people, you know.
Yeah.
If it's okay, I'm going to steal it and put it into the dating circle.
Yeah,
give them tips on a Tuesday. So I'm like, one way to manage your ever-growing phone list of guys in your phone.
There we go. So just tell everyone what the dating circle is, Sarah.
So I started talking about my dating life on my social channels, just like my personal channels, Facebook and Insta. And it became really quite therapeutic for me, and everybody was loving it. They were just like, I love your story, just so real, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, so I've been single 3 years this year, 3.5 years. And in April, I just thought, do you know what? I think I'm just going to start a group, because people started inboxing me like about their dating life. So I think I'm just going to start a group. So I opened up a group on Facebook, called it the Dating Circle, and it was really about next chapter support, because for me, I see it as in 3 buckets. You're just coming out of a relationship, you're in that grief stage, like you really just need to process all of that. You might want someone to talk to, not quite ready to date, but you want to at some point feel like you're going to be ready to date. Then there's that bucket of like, you're in it, you're dating, and you just need someone to talk to about all the shit that happens, because it's like relentless, the stuff. And I always say the problem with the dating pool isn't the dating apps, it's the people that are in the pool. Like 80% of them just have got no self-awareness whatsoever. And then there's that, and then there's this other bucket of people where they're dating, And I know we're going to talk about like health relationships, but they're, you know, all they've ever known is toxic relationships or choosing bad partners or unhealthy relationships. And when they've come to this point of self-awareness and they're like, okay, I've found someone good, but it's like, how do I now navigate a healthy relationship when I'm only used to unsafe, toxic relationships? So for me, there's 3 buckets of people. So the dating circle is like the next chapter of support for those. So far, it's really been focused on people that are dating. So I started the group in April. I had like 100 or so people come in. And then I just started promoting it in places. I started a TikTok channel. And now I've got like, I think 440 people or something like that. And
like one of them, aren't we, Lise?
We are
in it, yeah.
Yeah. So it has kind of taken a bit of a life of its own. I've got some plans for 2023, but I'm very much being led by what the group needs. And it's really a place of support to talk about what's going on and how you feel, and a bit of a safe space to sort of hear what others are going through to make you feel like not alone. And then I've got some coaches and experts in there to help people that do want to grow into becoming the person they want, to attract in the person they want. So yeah, that's it.
I love it. I love it, because like you said about like the healthy relationship thing, I think some of us are so, I mean, look at me talking like I'm an expert, I haven't got a clue, but like from what I see and I've experienced, your situation becomes your normal. So you think that what's to the outside looking in, you think, fuck me, that is toxic, but it's your normal. And it's hard to, like you say, when somebody good, I say in inverted commas because, you know, there's not many of them out there. But when somebody decent does come along, you're like, oh my God, they're a weirdo. Oh my God, he's telling me he likes me. What a freak. How clingy. What an ick. So it's mad, isn't it? So it's nice that you've got a space where I love some of the posts and stuff and some of the like the community that you've got in that group. I think it's really, really good.
Do you know what? I seen a few on there and it made me feel sad. Like there was a lady that put a comment on there and she said she'd had so many bad dates, like, when am I going to find someone good? And I thought, that makes me so sad that someone's had to go through so much crap and so many shit dates and probably sticky mistakes, and then just sitting there literally feeling like, where are all the good people, like men and women, not just men. But you know, you just think sometimes, don't you, like I just feel for people, like there's genuine good people out there that are really putting themselves out, and then you've just got absolute dickheads on the other end of it.
Yeah, I agree, but there are also a lot of people that are not helping themselves, and they're turning up with all of this, like we've all got baggage, but how you turn up with that baggage can be completely different, right? So there are people in that group that I've had personal conversations with. I'm like, okay, you need to unpack that trauma, you need to deal with this, you need to heal that, you need to, and they're like, yeah, and then they're back doing exactly the same thing, and they don't actually want to help themselves. So I do take a step back and I'm like, there are people that are turning up with this negative mindset towards dating, and the people that they're being faced with are a result of how they're turning up in their dating life. So I do say, like, your life and the reality around your life is a reflection of you and where you're at. And I've had to go deep with this on myself, and dating is exactly the same. Your dating life is a reflection of where you are at in time, and you can always improve on that, and there's always things you can do. Obviously, I mean, for me, I'm second time around dating, and the dating pool in your 40s just seems to be like a puddle rather than a sea. But like, there are good people in it.
Yeah.
And it's really a case of turning up in your best self to meet the good people in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I've listened to a few of your videos and stuff, and the thing that you say about I think there was one that you'd gone out on a date, potentially, that I might be wrong, and you quite openly said, actually, I didn't turn up as the best version of myself. I was putting my shit onto them, and then kind of going, well, what's wrong with them? When actually it could have been some stuff, like you say, you had to work on.
Yeah, and I like, I'm dating a guy right now, lovely, ticks loads of my boxes, likes me, plan the next 3 dates, and I'm just like, so I'm self-sabotaging. I know it, but the key to all of this, the first step, is like self-awareness. So now it's like, I've got to have that courageous conversation and say to him, I know that I'm self-sabotaging. but I just need to deal with this, and I just need some space to deal with it, because this is healthy, and healthy feels unsafe. So I wasn't there 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, it was everybody else's problem. And now it's like, what am I contributing to my life being shit? What am I contributing to my dating being shit? Okay, let's do that. And, you know, you can only control the controllables, right? That's it. You can only control the controllables. But it's really about taking a deep dive into what those bits are. And most people don't want to do the work.
Yeah,
they don't want to invest in themselves.
Yeah, and it's quite sobering looking at yourself, isn't it? Because we don't want to admit that we're the ones in the wrong. Yeah. It's like, well, these lot are the freaks, I'm fine. Why doesn't anybody want me, type thing?
Yeah.
I mean, this is making me do a bit of self-reflection now, because I've had probably a handful of good dates. The majority, so I'm not going to lie, have been absolutely horrific. Not in the sense that there's not been a vibe there, but in the sense they've just been a bit odd.
Right. Yeah. Can we share just very, very quickly the story that we shared on episode 1?
Yeah, so I've been speaking to a guy for a few weeks, arranged to meet up, went out for food, went to Frankie and Benny's, lovely meal, come to dessert, and he was like, do you want a dessert? I was like, no, I'm fine, thank you. And he looked at me and he was like, have a dessert. And I was like, no, I'm really good, I'm fine. Anyway, he insisted that we must order a dessert. So he ordered on my behalf with 2 spoons, already told him I didn't want anything, but he carried on ordering. And then the dessert came, and he sat there and looked me square in the eye and he went, I need to tell you something. And I thought, here we go.
Can I just say, I'm just watching Sarah's face just before you say this.
You're going to tell me about a wife or something like that. No. He said, I need to tell you something because it would really turn me on. And I'm thinking, red flag. First date, if I could come round and sit on your lap while you feed me this dessert. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Like, I'm not cool with that. And I literally turned around to him, and it just I couldn't control myself. I said to him, you're literally going to be asking me to call me mummy and change a nappy in a minute. Like, I'm not about that. And I tried to leave. He grabbed my arm, made me sit down, wouldn't let me go. So I had to kind of think, like, okay, just be nice to him, be polite, try and get out. So I went to the toilet. That was my escape. Couldn't get out that way because he'd literally seen me walk out right next to him. So I called the waitress and escaped through the kitchen, out the fire exit at the back, round to my car, drove off, blocked him, and never seen him again.
Oh my God.
So he definitely wasn't in the right place, was he?
So I've got a couple of opinions on it, because I'm really quite liberal, and I've got friends that are extremely on their sexuality fantasy side. I've got friends that are really liberal. So for me, I say to everybody, like, there's nothing wrong with people wanting one night stands. There's nothing wrong with people wanting relationships, and all what's in between, right? We're all at different places at different times, and you can't judge somebody for having a different need to yours just because you want their need to match yours and it doesn't. And so with the sexual fantasy thing, I'm like, no judgment, like each to their own. But the whole like forcing that and projecting onto you, that's wrong. It's different if you both align. You're like, yeah, I both get a kick out of that. Like, I'm not going to judge anyone for what they want to do, like in the bedroom and outside of that, like, you know. And as I say, I mix in, you know, I've got friends that go to Torture Garden, killing kittens. I've got friends that are married and have girlfriends in their relationship. I've got friends that are gay, all of that. Like, for me, there's just each to their own. But where it gets wrong, where it becomes abusive and it becomes like they're projected onto you, and it's like, if he was like, look, this is what I'm into, like, are you, and you're like, no, it should have stepped there. It should have stepped there.
Yeah.
Like, he went a step too far by then going, well, you know, you're not going to leave. You're going to have this dessert. You're going to take me. And it's like, no. And I think that's where it's wrong. I'd say, this is obviously aside from that, I think what I got really, really good at in like the first few years of the dating was like, I got better at filtering out before I met them and before we kind of, the messages continued. So I used to like have these ongoing chats with all these people and these terrible dates. Yeah. And then now it's like the filter is so good now, but that's as a result of experience. That's a result of me learning more. So actually it's like, I don't really get to bad dates now because I filter them out way earlier.
Okay. So talking about bad dates.
Yes.
We're going to move on. Let's talk about a funny or bad date or both.
Yeah.
What's your most memorable?
So I always talk about this. It's my most memorable, but it's from when I was single back in my late 20s, early 30s. So, and this actually ended up in a bad situation, so I can explain. So I'd met this guy in the city, like not really my type, but hilarious. And I was like, I definitely want to go on a date with you. Like there was something there. So we went on this date, we met in the city. We went for dinner at Gaucho. So for those who, lovely steak restaurant, really nice. Then he's like, do you want to go partying? I was like, absolutely. I'm a party girl, love it. So we went to Funky Buddha, which was in Mayfair.
Posh.
And yeah, it was right. And we had like a great time. And he was like, I'm a member of the casino of the road. Do you want to go? I was like, yeah, let's go. So anyway, he drew out some money from the cash point, and like we went into this casino, we were playing the roulette and we won. I think it was like 600 quid. And he was like, yeah, there's half. And I was like, but it was your money. Like, no, he was like, no, take it. And then he basically booked me a car home. Now I've got an older boy who at the time was young. My mum and dad were babysitting for me. So I'd like had a free dinner, been partying all night, went to a casino, come home with £300 cash and a car home. And I was like, my mum and dad are quite liberal. So I was like, I've done all that and I haven't had to go over. And they were just cracking up because, and it's literally my most memorable date because I was just like, what the fuck? Well, I did end up continuing to see this guy, but I then shortly found out that he had a fiance. So obviously it ended it quite badly. What happened was we were continuing to date and I only ever saw him on weeknights in the city. And I was like, why haven't you invited me to yours? Why don't we spend time together at the weekend? And obviously he had another life. So that's why. But so bad date, but really funny, memorable date. So yeah,
that sounds like an apart from obviously the whole fiance thing. What a date!
Yeah,
what an epic
literally.
date! I literally come home with 300 quid. I was like, and I have not had to go over for this. Like,
I'm lucky if I don't come home with PTSD, let alone 300 quid.
I had a PTSD date last week or the week before. So yeah, I've had those two. So I matched with this guy, not really my type, but we just connected like on chat and we had a few phone calls and he sounded really wholesome, like really deep, like self-awareness, bit of coaching talk in there. So I was like, yeah, he's right, a bit of me, really fit. Like sent me a couple of pictures of his body. I was like, yeah, this guy's fit. There was quite a few like talk about sex. And I was just like, I just want to let you know that like I've had my time of having sex early and all of that. And it's not that I don't agree with it. It's like, but I get attached really quickly and I just don't like having sex early now. Like for me, it's a boundary. I'm like, I want to get to know someone because, well, for a few reasons, like when you have sex early, I feel like when the sex is good and the chemistry's there, you kind of swept along with that and you just ignore whether you're compatible or not, or you ignore red flags. It's like, oh my God, this bit's so good. I'm just going to go with it. And then also I've got an anxious attachment style and I'm like really aware of it and the sex makes it worse. So the like quicker I have sex, the quicker I attach. And then I start like sabotaging. So I'm like, okay, I just don't do it now. If I like someone, I'm just like, I'm just going to hold off, wait for a few more dates. And he was like, yeah, fine. Like just brushing it off. I was like, I'm honestly not having sex early. So if that's what you want, let's just not do it. But anyway, we got on this date and he just like completely put it on me. It was like, yeah, let's go back, let's have naked couples at mine, grabbing me, groping me, trying to, and I was just like, oh my God.
Did he actually use the expression naked cuddles?
Yeah. I know, cringe. So,
oh my God, I think
That's what emoji.
we don't have to do anything. I was just like,
we'll just have a game of naked twister, it'll be fine.
And I like, so bear in mind, I'm a teetotal party girl. I've been teetotal for 20 years. I've had people badgering me to drink over that time. And I'm just like, no, I've had, this sounds so bad. I've had so many guys stay in my bed and nothing's happened. And I've go to bed going, nothing's going to happen, but you're welcome to stay. We'll have a little cuddle. Yeah. And they're like, yeah. All girls say that. And then nothing happens. They're like, oh, nothing happened. So I was saying to him, like, when I say nothing's going to happen, that's what I mean, because that's my boundary. Like nothing you can do or say right now is going to change my mind. I've got a boundary for a reason and it's healthy for me. So then what he started doing was like, oh, you're like, not you're a prude or you're frigid, but it was that like direction towards like, oh, what's wrong with you? Like,
yeah.
And I was like, no, this is just so I actually came away from that really like, how did I miss this one? Because we'd had quite a few conversations. I'd made it really clear that, you know, if that's what you want, that's fine, but someone else, not me. I want to date for a while before I get there. And yeah, he just he just completely overstepped the mark, and I
feel
felt
like they tried
violated.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they see it as a challenge.
Yeah.
Doesn't really mean that, she's just saying it type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no judgment for me. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
like, everybody do what they want. Like,
Yeah.
I'd love to be that person that can just go have sex and not think about it after. But I'm
Yeah.
not that person, so I've just stopped torturing myself.
So I love that, like, that's a bit of self-discipline, that, isn't it?
That is really
That's
good.
massive
yeah.
self-discipline. Would you be able to do that, Luce? Oh, long pause.
Yeah.
You think, like, I like the way that you're very, like, it's almost like it's not that, I was going to say it's business, not like that, but do you know what, it's very logical and it's very thought out, and it's very, it's not just going with the feelings, like you say, just going, oh, getting swept along, and you actually look a step further.
I have had my time of being swept along. Like, I have had those moments. Like, the first bit, I've never really been this person to like sleep with lots of different people at the same time. But I was like, well, I'm single, I'm gonna try it. And I was like, tried it, made me feel like shit, not doing that again. So it's like, you just got to know yourself to know what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah.
I think when I was like, I mean, I'm only 32, I'm not old, but I mean, well, some people will say I am, but when I was kind of like, when I come out of a 7-year relationship, I kind of went on that thing of, oh, I don't care if I sleep on the first date, it doesn't matter, we'll be fine. But then, like, as I've got older, it's like, I don't know, no, I don't want to, you know. And if people still do it at that age, that's fine, that's their thing, this is my thing, you know. I think I could quite easily be, you know, like you say, Sarah, doing the dating before you then get into things like the sex and stuff. But I think, like, younger me was very much like, oh, I don't care.
I think, definitely. Yeah, I definitely think it's a thing. Like, and I think it also depends on your previous experiences, how much you've been hurt, or just how many knobheads you've met. I think there comes a certain point, and this is kind of where I feel, my friends are going to laugh, where I feel like actually there's kind of a bit of a change. Like, I can't be asked to entertain knobheads anymore. I just haven't got the time. Like, before you'd start talk, you'd lower. Who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody a couple of nights ago, and they'd sent me some screenshots of messages, which I've been told I'm not allowed to share. But it was like, why are we even talking to these people? Like, why do we get to a point where we lower our standards so much that we just entertain the dickheads?
Yeah.
So do we think the longer that you do that, and when you become a bit older, you just go, actually, my time, I'm not here to entertain. Not everybody gets access to you, type thing.
And it took me a long time to get there, like, really long time.
Yeah.
And I think you can get a bit desensitized to the shit that you get on message. Like, it becomes the normal, and it's like, whoa, hold on a minute. Like, it's not, like, those messages are not normal, you know?
Yeah. So say if somebody was in the situation that they're just meeting a load of dickheads, men and women, like, we're not man bashers here. Like, there are plenty of awful women out there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we might even be one of them. Not you, Sarah, not saying that.
I think I was at one point in time.
But yeah, so say somebody, if they're starting out their dating journey, or they've got to the point where they're like, actually, if I want to find someone, I need to do it properly. What would your advice be?
So, like, what do they want? Like, what is it that you want? And I the first thing I normally start with is the like, really digging deep on this and getting to the values-based questions.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I'm not talking like, what's your favorite film? Like, where do you like to go out? What's your favorite drink? You know, do you want to stay in?
Or KFC?
Yeah, it's like, you know, I want a blended family. I want somebody that's willing to mix in with my kids. I don't want 2 separate lives. I want a team player. Like, I've had relationships in the past where I've been the person to do everything, organize everything, glue that holds it together. I want a team player. I want to face life together.
Yeah.
I want somebody that's got emotional intelligence and, you know, understands their trauma or dealt with it or in the process of dealing with it. I love music. I love partying, but I don't myself participate in drink and drugs. Again, I've got friends that do. I don't judge, but for me, it's like the guy I went out with last night, second date, we both went, both sober, dancing away, having a great time. So for me, that's important that
Yeah.
somebody doesn't need that all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so there's loads of stuff, that questions that I've had to ask myself that I don't even know the answer to. So it's like, how can I expect the person that I want to show up when I don't even know the answer to it myself? So that's where I start, as in, like, really, what do you want? And then it's like, for me, it's strategy, it's mindset, strategy, where, like, how are you turning up? Like, what, you know, have you got some negative blocks around it? What are those negative blocks? Remove them, change the language in your mind and the language that you verbalize. Like, oh yeah, all the dating apps crap, my dating life is right. Like, all of that is negative. And then it's really about, okay, so you know who you want, you know what your blocks are. Where do you then place yourself to meet the people that you want to meet? And how do you show up as the person that you need to show up as to get that person in? So I do treat it a little bit like business, because when we talk about business, we say, okay, marketing, how do you attract in your ideal client? What does your ideal client want to hear? And you write all your copy on your message to speak to that person, so that when that person sees you, they're like, oh, I want to come into that funnel. So really, it's about showing up, being the person you need to be to attract in the person you want to attract in, but then taking some strategic steps to then meet that person. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. So in terms of so this is all going through my head now. I'm like, right, would you, with the values and stuff, would you just straight off the bat say, this is what I'm looking for?
So
you know what I mean? Is that not a bit like, calm down?
So I battle with this myself. It's really hard to have the courageous conversation. And there's a coach in my group called Jenny, and we work together on these 40 dating questions. And she's like, yeah, I turned up on my first date. The guy she's been with him for a couple of years, with like a sheet of all these questions. I'm like, I just could not do that.
She
like,
did not.
I could not do that. But they've got a funny story, right? And that worked for her. But really, what it is about saying, right, well, I know all this stuff about myself.
Yeah.
And I need to then write my bio so that I'm talking to the person I want. Because the amount of bios I've reviewed, I'm like, oh my God, like, you've got no idea what vibe that's giving you out. Change this, change that, little things, right? So it's really about, if you're using the apps, what your bio says. But then once they come into it, once you've matched with them, it's like, you can slowly ask the questions, right? Ask the big ones first, not the big ones as in like, but like the easy big ones. Yeah, like the easy big ones first. Like, and then it's like pre-date, on date, after date, like you can do it gradually. But I think this is the key to reducing the noise around the messaging, is being courageous enough to ask the ballsy questions that are going to get you a yeah or not. Because I've been in it so many times. I'm like, I really fancy this person. I want this person to be the one. And then they go, yeah, I smoke. And it's like, oh. And it's like, okay, is that a negotiable for me? Well, no, it's not. So it's like, I can't make you fit. I want to make you fit, but I can't. And it's like,
you know exactly what you want, don't you?
I love that.
Oh yeah, I love it. Like, wow.
It's very hard to have strong boundaries though, because when you fancy someone, you're like, just want to make this work.
Like the whole thing that you just said there, is that like a negotiable for me? For me, I'd be thinking, well, it wasn't when I wrote it down, but now I've seen you, maybe it is. And that's where things change, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's the other thing. It's like, you can have this like wish list, but on that wish list, it's like, okay, these are my non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables,
yeah.
So my ex-husband, or we're not quite divorced yet, we're separated, but he's met a mum from the school, and their relationship is like, they've been together we think, me and her ex, our kids go to school together, they're like, we think it's been like 2 years. She's not met his family. He goes away with his family all the time. She's not been on holiday. He's going to buy a house on his own. Like, now, if that works for them, great, but that's not the relationship I want. So like, it's not a criticism. It's just like, everybody, when they move on, wants, especially if you're second time, I think you're a little bit more stuck in your ways. So it's like, I don't want to live one life with my kids and one life with my partner. I could do that because I get 50-50 childcare split. I literally get half my week off every other weekend. Amazing. But I don't want to live two separate lives. I want a blended family. That's not for everyone. some people are so, after second time round, like marriage, kids and all that, they're like, never getting married again. Like, no, I don't want anyone to meet my kids. Like, just, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But when I meet those people, I'm like, I want to get married again. I love being married. I want to be married again. That's a non-negotiable for me. And I think those questions are really important.
So, Lise, what would one of your, like, have a think, what would your
I knew you were going to ask me this, and I'm sitting here thinking I'm going to have to write myself a list.
Because I think we should, you know, I think we should do an episode of like, I feel like we should get you and your coach with the 40
Jenny.
questions on.
Yeah, I'd love to hear them 40 questions.
I feel like, and then we could make our own questions, and then
and this is the thing, if you don't know yourself, how can you expect to find someone?
Oh, I'm seeing it in a whole new light now.
Yeah, that's me.
I feel like I need a journal or a planner. Like, I've got my planner here. Like, for life, I need a section
dating goals.
I need my ideal client. Got that. I've got my non-negotiables.
Yeah, I never thought before.
Yeah,
because you put things on, like, on your bios and stuff, like what your preferences are, don't you? Like, if I said, okay, minimum height of 5'8", and he turned up and I measured his height and he was 5'7", am I going to be annoyed? No, not really. Like things like that. Well, you never know. Knowing my dates, they might come with a toolbox or something. I don't know. I like things like that. Like, I wouldn't be bothered about that. But yeah, then there are probably some things that you think, like, no, there's no room for negotiation on that. Like, if I met a bloke and he was like, I want at least 5 kids, I'd be like, no way.
Yeah.
That's pretty, but that's like big stuff though, isn't it? But what if he was like something like, I don't know, say a football guy. Every Saturday it's football with the lads.
Yeah. So that would be a no for me. Like,
See, for me, I don't know. I wouldn't think.
As in every Saturday, that's his day. That's his non-negotiable.
Yeah, probably no then.
Yeah, and
I mean, if I could go along, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
So it's like getting that balance of, this will work for me or this won't, and like really, but and this is where self-awareness comes in, right? What's gone wrong in your past relationships? What don't you want again? Like, what do you love about yourself? What do you would love about someone else? Like, most people don't start from a place of self-awareness. Like, for me, I know what went wrong in the past. I know what bits I contributed to and what bits other contributed. I know why I've chosen the partners I've chosen. I've made an effort to unpick all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like the attachment style piece, that was a game changer for me. I was meeting people and literally sabotaging within a few weeks because I was just like, can you just reassure me again that you want to see me and you like me? And it's like,
yeah,
okay,
I definitely don't do that. I'm massively guilty of that. I'm such an overthinker.
Yeah, same.
I've been on WhatsApp at like 2:54. I messaged you at 2:51 and you haven't replied. What? Oh my God, you don't like me? You're talking to somebody else.
Yeah, same. And I think like learning about that last summer. So what happened to me last summer, I'd met a guy, we really connected, jumped into sex straight away, like loads of chemistry. It was quite full on quickly. We were dating for like 4 weeks. And we went to watching the England game together, and he cancelled on me. And he cancelled on me because he was helping me during the week with my business because I'd had a bit of a meltdown. He then got behind with his work and he needed to catch up on the Friday. It was totally genuine. And I just like, well, he mustn't like me. He's cancelled on me. Like, he's
taking the piss.
Completely sabotaged it.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I've reassured you. Like, what else do you want? Like, and I was like, why do I keep doing this? And then I found out about the anxious attachment style. I'm like, okay, right, that answers a lot of questions. So it's like, I didn't, and for a while, I hated myself because I was like, why am I not normal? But then I was like, okay, we don't get a choice in what attachment style we get. That happens when we're a kid. There's no choice in it. So I was like, okay. So
what is the anxious attachment style?
So there's 4. I don't know loads about it, but there's 4. So there's anxious, avoidant, secure, and anxious avoidant, which is like called disorganized. So basically, avoidance, other than secure, the others have a fear of rejection, abandonment, love is not safe. So for me, love was unpredictable. I think my mum was emotionally unavailable, and love was unpredictable. And so for me, it doesn't feel safe. And like, basically, you're as good as your last text message, or you're good as your last meeting with me. And it's like, I need that constant reassurance. So it's not for somebody else to give me that reassurance. I need to recognize when it's happening, and I need to be able to self-soothe. So the self-soothing for me is like, okay, what can I do to help me regulate my nervous system? So this has all been stuff that I've learned. That's as far as I can tell you on the attachment styles, because I don't know a great amount. Avoidance, anxious and avoidant people are naturally attract each other, because you're basically validating each other's self-limiting beliefs. So the avoidance are like running away from love, and the anxious attachment is always running towards love. So I've looked at, I'm like, oh my God, I've dated so many avoidants in the past, and there is just electric chemistry, and it's like, okay, so they give you a little bit, enough to keep chasing. So that's been my dynamic for a long time. And now as I've healed myself, I've started attracting in more secure attachment style men, and you can just tell from their behaviors. They're like, for me, I've got like this thing about WhatsApp behavior. So if their WhatsApp status off and blue ticks off, they're definitely avoidant. Like for me, they're like, that is like avoidant attachment style. That's been in my experience. If they're just seen status off, then some emotional unavailability there. But that could be for genuine reasons. Like some people have businesses and they're literally hounded and they just don't want people to see them online. But I know a lot of people outside of that are just seen status off. I'm like, they're emotionally unavailable. And I've attracted in and dated quite a lot of them as well. So I love when I meet someone that's like seen status on, blue ticks on. I'm like, oh, normal person. Just like, because I speak to my coach friend about this a lot. I've got a coach friend who lives out in Ibiza, and she's like, yeah, but you know, my friends say about it and it is like less grief. I was like, yeah, but why would you not be able to handle the grief? If someone said to me, I text you a message, you've been online since and you haven't, I'd be like, oh yeah, sorry, I've been busy. That's it. I've been busy. I've been online for work, or, you know, I've had the kids, or I wanted to wait until I could reply properly. Like there's always a reason. And if you can't communicate about it, or if you're avoiding it, that's a reflection of you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
Do you know what? I think there's going to be
I
so
don't
many
often talk
people.
about my WhatsApp theory and behaviours. I'm like, it makes me sound like a crazy person.
I think I completely agree with that. Like for me, if there was somebody that had the blue ticks off and the last seen status, I'm thinking, what you're hiding?
Yeah, because you have to go
Straight
out of your way
away.
to turn those things off.
That's a big red flag
100%.
for me.
Oh yeah, I'd have at least 2 red flag emojis in there. One for the blue tick, one for the status. Straight away, going in your bio. It's not looking good for you, hun. But I think there's going to be so many people that are listening to this and things that you said that are sitting there and having all these little bing, little light bulb moments, because I am.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's so much I'm sitting there thinking, oh yeah. Oh,
we
I
only
can have
started this
that.
as a bit of a giggle, like just.
I know. And now I feel
like I'm unpacking this. I feel like my eyes have been opened.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
Same.
like my friend, like literally, me and Lisa, we're friends. So, and the people that follow us on Instagram and Facebook, it's pretty much just all of our friends, isn't it? They follow us personally. We've tagged it in, blah blah blah. But now I feel like we're actually giving some value to this now, Lisa.
Yeah.
And so this is the thing. This is why I started the dating circle, because I was like, there's loads of others that need help, and I'm at a place where
I needed help.
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah. And I say this all the time. Your dating life is a reflection of where you're at right now. There's nothing wrong with that, but it means if it needs improving, there's space to improve it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what steps can you take to improve it? Because it's not everybody else's fault, right? It's not the fact that the dating pool's crap. It is crap. I'm not going to say,
but you've also got to own your shit.
Yeah.
Like for me at the minute, I just have a look on Path every now and again. I don't actively go on and swipe through people because I'm not doing that. I'm not at the stage of going out and dating people, because at the minute I just think, you know, I'm quite happy as I am, and it's going to take someone that's like pretty amazing to change that. But I know that this someone isn't just going to be like crane lifted from wherever they are and dropped at my front door. Like I know I've got to go put myself out there and find them. But like sometimes I just go on Path and I have a look and I read the first messages and they're all the same. Hey, and I think,
it's the ones that are just hi. I'm thinking, in what universe would you just normally go up to a stranger, stand in front of the face, hi? I'm like, or for me, it's the what you up to, which is a fine question. What are you up to? But it's the WUU2.
Same.
Yeah.
I had one the other day. Hi, UK. You can't even be bothered to put you with the vowels in. Like, if you're not going to put the time in now, don't you think you're getting a reply because you're not?
I think, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
think
like, oh.
we've all just become a bit late, but then it's like Sarah said, thinking, no, that's just the people that you're entertaining. Like we've just become a bit lazy, I feel.
Yeah.
Like there's no effort really. I mean, usually it's, hi, how are you? Here's my knob.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I've had a few of those. It's like, okay, let's just talk about dick pics for a moment.
Right, let's go.
Right. So does the man think, okay, I want to have sex with this person, so what I'm going to do is show him my knob and then they want to have sex with me? It's like, it just doesn't, like, we need women. Why don't you understand that?
They'll go, oh, I'll tell you what, you chat shit, but now I've seen that, hop on.
Yeah.
It's like, what goes through their mind?
And that's what I mean. Do you know what I blame as well? I think me and Lisa have spoke about this before. Pornhub and the whole, like, how accessible porn is these days. Because it's just, oh, look, there's another knob.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I imagine our grandparents, obviously there was no mobile phones back in them day, but you wouldn't just go and get your knob out to Ethel, would you? And go, hey, have a go.
Although, I'm going to just say this. So as a teetotal party girl, always driving, right? And I give lifts to lots of strays, like, okay, you're a bit drunk, I'm going your way, get in. And I had one guy, bearing in mind, he was really, really fit. And he just got out of my car, said goodbye, got his knob out.
Don't point that at me.
I was just offering you a lift home. It meant, like, I was literally just like, I'm going your way. You can get, and he just got his knob out. I was just like, oh my God.
That's taking the dick pic one step further. That's just a show and tell. Have a go.
Yeah. That's like a real life scenario.
Yeah. I mean, what for me, was the door open? So I've got to visualise in my head.
So he'd got out of the car, he opened the door, right?
So
he
the
was
door
like,
was still open.
He's like in my passenger seat, I'm in like driving seat, and he just like looked to me, like before he shut the door and just got his knob out.
I'd have just slowly pulled away with the door still open, like.
Oh God!
I feel like that's a good place to leave it this time. I feel like you definitely be able to come back on.
Oh, 100%. I want to hear more.
So, like, there's going to be, hopefully, well, I think there will be lots and lots of people that can identify with a lot of what you've just said. So, where can people find you if they want to join the dating circle?
Yeah. So so my TikTok and the group on Facebook are both called The Dating Circle. And there is an Instagram page, but I haven't really done much with that. So the community is on Facebook.
Yeah.
My TikTok channel is just me, like, talking about dating. I've got a bit of the fear. I did one video and it went like viral, got 70,000 views, and I haven't done one since because I'm just scared that it's going to get like 100 views and I've been worried about it. So I'm like, okay, I need to build up the courage to do some more TikToks. But yeah, so the Dating Circle on TikTok and the Dating Circle community over on Facebook, you can come and join. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's been really fun.
I am off to buy another journal to try and unpack my life and own my shit.
I'm going to make my non-negotiables. So next time you're on, I'm going to go through them. And Kim, you can put yours together as well.
Our bios.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Well, maybe we could do an episode of like reviewing people's bios. I'll be like, point out where they.
Yeah, we could just pick some random ones, couldn't we? Without naming people and just see what the like. Read
ask people if they're happy for theirs to be rated.
Yeah.
And I'll speak to Jenny, and we can get Jenny in too.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Go and join the Dating Circle on Facebook. Go and follow her on TikTok, and we will see you again soon.
Yeah. See you soon.
Bye. That was so good.
Has she just left, or have I kicked her out?
I think
I didn't hit leave.
No, but I wonder if where we've said bye, she's thought that we're going, and she's just.
Oh no, she's there. She's in the waiting room.
Oh.
There with. Here we go. Oh.
Booting the first guest out, Kim, already.
Thanks for coming. Fuck off. Did I kick you out?
No. Hold on. I'm trying to find you. Wait a minute. So it's like habit to leave, and I was like, I've just left. She was just stopping recording, and I was like, no,
that's fine because
I'm going to go back.
I just come off and I went, I think I've just booted her out.
No, sorry. It was like you were obviously stopping the recording, and then I was like, I've just like left the call, and it was like, we want to talk after. So yeah, I'm
But
back.
no, that was really fun.
It was good. Really, I loved
Love
it. Honestly.
that.
Like first
it.
one we've done.
Tim, you forgot to do the thing.
Oh, I
The,
forgot to
the
ask the
questions.
Right, I've got another question to ask. I'll get because Charles can edit it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, right. So, right. So one question that we're going to ask every guest that we get on is, what does healthy love look like to you?
Yeah, so I wrote some notes on this because I was like, oh god, that's a good question. So for me, it's not what I've had in the past.
Yeah.
And actually, I myself am unsure whether I can even handle healthy. So what I want and whether I can handle it are two different things. But for me, it's really about communication. So like really being able to talk through, have those courageous conversations. Like we all get triggered. We all have emotions come up. We all have like shit times. And I want somebody that I can talk to about that. And teamwork for me. So like, as I said earlier, it's really about facing life together and making the boring stuff fun, because you know I've got to tidy my house up every day. That's going to be there every day. Like I don't want to do that.
Someone's mother.
Yeah, I don't want to be someone's mother, and I've been that so many times.
Yeah.
And then really it's like it's about having fun and like being family and creating family traditions. That's like healthy for me. But as I said, like sometimes when you're presented with that, it's hard then to handle. So I've it's not that I haven't had great relationships in the past, but I don't think I've had long-term sustainable healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to be able to be that person myself. So
Love that.
Amazing. Perfect. And I'll get Charles to just edit that bit. Oh yeah.
That was so
really
good.
fun.
I love that. I think people are going to
That was
really
good.
enjoy that, because the first few episodes, the first one is Lisa sharing the story about the guy and the dessert, and we just sit there and we take the piss. Second one is me and my worst. It's not really a date, but I'd met this guy, and it was at the point where I was just like, I'm just going to meet, we're just going to have sex, whatever. And he was fit. So I was like, you know, I'd gone through 7 years of really good relationship. And then the last 4 were just absolute shit, toxic, alcohol, drugs, all that sort of stuff. So I was like, right, I'm not getting attached to anyone. I'm just going to go and do my thing. So I met this guy, we slept together, and then we carried on messaging. By the way, Lisa, he's totally read the fucking message and he's not replied back.
For God's sake.
And he asked if he could wank into a condom for 7 days, collect all the jizz, and I would drink it. Yeah.
And do you know what he gave us an alternative? If you don't want to do that, what about if I put it on a plate?
Whoa, that's a little bit weird. And he went, how about a plate?
So I got her phone and I texted him and I said,
let me see.
read the text out. I said, she was like, I've still got his number and everything. I was like, oh, have you? I was like, give me your phone. I'm going to text him. We did it on the podcast, didn't we?
Yeah, just had a bowl of milk and it reminded me of you. Remember when you asked if you could wank into a condom or a plate for a week and I would drink it? Has anyone taken you up on the offer yet? And the cheeky bastard's read it and he's not replied. I've been pied.
I was just so intrigued. I was so intrigued to know if anybody had actually said yes, if anybody had actually done that.
I mean, fresh is bad enough, but a week old lot of, I mean, come on, it makes you feel sick.
Yeah, so we didn't see each other.
He might not be replying to him because he might be in a relationship, doing it every week, or maybe every other week.
Might be an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yeah, never know.
But yeah, so this, I feel like this episode, it's going to be like the funny shit, the more, and then people are going to go, oh, they're actually being serious.
It's a bit more serious than what we've done, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's actually adding value. It's not like people are actually going to take something from it rather than just, oh yeah, that's the funny stories.
That's what I'm going to do, my non-negotiable list, because I'd never even thought of things like that. Like I was literally, what I said was me. No, I don't really want someone with that. I see you. You're fit. You've got banter. I like you. Nah, never mind that. well, I'll deal with that. I'll tolerate it. And it's like, why should I?
Yeah.
There's going to be other people that make me laugh. There's going to be other people that I think you're fit. I'm not having your shit.
There's the manifestation part of it as well, right? So the more you kind of get clear on that and set your intention, then the more.
Love it. Well,
Because there's a thing in your brain, right, called the RAS. Do you know about this?
No.
Right. So there's a thing in your brain called the reticular activating system, right? So our eyes, ears, all that takes in like however many thousands of things a day, like things we see, things we hear, what will we do, all of that. So that's why like our autopilot happens, to kind of cut down on the amount of stuff we have to think about.
Yeah.
So the RAS in our brain is a filter. So if you've had it before, like you'll I'll go and buy a red Fiesta, and then all you'll see is red Fiestas everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's how the RAS works. So when you set your intention for something, it sets your filter in your brain to look for that. So if I'm like, I want to become a project manager, all I'll see is project manager opportunities. So it's the same with the RAS and dating. If you really get clear on your intentions.
Yeah.
Jack Grealish.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind. I would. It's a bit young, but I would.
Me too. Every day for a year.
That TikTok that you made about Jack Grealish, how many views did it get?
Nearly 1 million.
Wow. What was the TikTok?
Let me find it.
It's her being a pervert, basically.
Yeah, it was. And then my local newspaper found out about it, and they contacted me and said, because there was a comment that I'd put on there with one of my friends, and I was like, yeah, just now for him to see it and get a birthday message from him. That's how it all started. And then my local newspaper contacted me and were like, we'd love to help you try and get a birthday message. Like, we'll do an article. And I was like, oh, yeah, brilliant. Then they put like a headline, like Daventry girls swooning over Premier League footballer. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. But it was funny. Right, hang on, let me turn. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on this camera.
Oh, the sound's gone.
I mean, I've probably seen it myself.
The sound's gone, Reese. Can you?
No, it's probably because she's got it away from her microphone.
Oh yeah, the sound. We can't hear it.
What?
Because it's away from the mic. We couldn't hear the sound. We could hear it to begin with.
Oh. Hang on, I'll send it.
I probably liked it myself. Like I probably watched it myself.
Kim, I'll send it to you if you can send it on to Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll let you get on, my darling. But thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And I've got some screenshots that I'll send to you. So if you want to share them in the group or whatever, then do what you will.
Lovely. All right then.
All right, my darling. See you later.
Take care. Bye. Bye.